Tells us all about the return of her popular show, Who Do You Think You Are? Plus, our conversation with one of the stars of the Mindy Kaling-created show, Never Have I Ever, Lee Rodriguez, sharing how it rightly tackles representation. And for our big finale today, this week marks the 15th anniversary of the movie version of Hairspray. And we've got a glimpse of the one and only Michelle Pfeiffer talking about it here on Today back in 2007. We'll get to all that, but first, here are today's Pop Star headlines.
Pop Star o'clock, isn't it?
Pop Star o'clock. I love that. House of Dragon. First up on Pop Star today, cue the Game of Thrones theme song. We are getting a peek at the highly anticipated spin-off series in the first new full-length trailer. The upcoming prequel set to take place 200 years before Game of Thrones, and living up to the show's name, House of Dragon will explore the Targaryen family who gave us the mother of dragons herself. But of course, everybody's got their eye on one thing, the Iron Throne.
I consider the matter urgent, that of your succession.
Well, who else would have a claim?
The firstborn child.
Rhaenyra. No queen has ever sat the Iron Throne.
The king has an heir, Daemon Targaryen.
I will not be made to choose between my brother and my daughter.
A woman would not inherit the Iron Throne, because that is the order of things.
Are we in trouble?
When I'm queen, I'm created.
I watched Game of Thrones.
Targaryen? What is it, Dylan?
Are you a
Targaryen.
Right. Yeah.
Are you a Game of Throner?
Well, I never actually saw the last season.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
You know how to say
She knows the Targaryens.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Mark your calendars. This one is slated to hit HBO Max on August 20th.
Wait, Dylan's doing instant fact checks for all of Pop Star.
Okay, what's next?
Excuse me, Carson.
You'll know this one. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
Good job.
Thanks very much.
Well pronounced.
You might remember, I didn't know this, but those guys bought a soccer team, a Welsh soccer team, a couple years ago. A surprising business move for an American and a Canadian actor who have zero soccer experience. So if you've spent the last couple of years wondering why they did that, all's going to be revealed in FX's new show, Welcome to Wrexham. Yesterday, the network dropped a trailer for the docuseries that follows Reynolds and McElhenney as they attempt to run the Red Dragons, which also happens to be the third oldest professional soccer club in the world.
Wow.
I think the biggest challenge is the community looking around going, what are these two guys doing here?
Welcome to Wrexham.
Only fools rush in.
Is that the gym?
It will be the gym.
Wow.
Yeah, this needs a little work.
Wrexham is a town that battles against odds constantly, but the thing that we love more than anything is the football club.
It's an underdog story.
Okay.
Got some Ted Lasso
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah. Like
Real life deal.
Yeah.
You can check out Ryan and Rob's attempt to turn that football club into one heck of an underdog story when Welcome to Wrexham premieres on FX next month. Next up, Gwyneth Paltrow for this weekend's edition of Sunday Today. Willie caught up with the entrepreneur and Oscar winner at Goop in the Hamptons. She opened up about what it was like to step back from Hollywood to grow her business from a newsletter into a major luxury brand worth more than $250 million. Plus, Gwyneth told Willie about juggling her favorite roles these days. That's CEO and, of course, mom of two teens.
You work
may
here
I
at the
help
shop?
you?
Yes. I'm looking for a sleep milk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, you've come to the right place.
Good.
Gwyneth Paltrow likes to dabble in the details, massaging just about every aspect of the company she has grown from a simple newsletter to a global brand valued at more than $250 million.
I never felt very fully comfortable being in the public eye to that degree. I still don't, but it's fantastic that I've been able to do something that's very fulfilling and work with a team that I adore.
The 49-year-old is more at ease in her roles as CEO, as wife to producer Brad Falchuk, and as mom to the two teenagers she shares with ex-husband Chris Martin.
And I do have one going off to college. You realize how finite it went so quickly.
When you think, Gwyneth, about the Hollywood side of your life now, what does it take to get you involved?
I mean, if my husband was doing something and wanted me to do it, I would do it.
You have a big birthday coming
You can catch their full conversation this weekend on Sunday. Today in Savannah, you recently got a chance to spend a little time with Gwyneth at Goop.
Yeah, you know what? They had an event on Monday night I got to go to. It was a PJ party. We got to wear our PJs.
I saw
And you know
your
what
face.
I love about
Look at
this? There we are in our PJs.
Gwyneth is even better at the Irish goodbye than I am.
Well,
Both of her, wait, she slipped out.
Bounced.
Then I slipped out in bed by 9. I said 8:30. She said it was 9. Give us the credit for staying out as late as we did.
I was going to say.
Oh, I slept in those PJs, of course.
You should.
That was my question.
Yeah. Awesome. By the way, Carson, can I be pop star correspondent for just 1 second? Because you've gone viral,
Yes,
my
I
friend.
just saw this on Instagram.
An old clip from TRL, look at you, cutie, has been exploding all over the internet.
Yes.
It's because of the new Mr. and Mrs. Affleck, but take a look at how this conversation between Carson and JLo 20 years ago predicted this weekend's surprising Vegas nuptials.
How are you guys going to do like a wedding? Like, how are you going to try and, is there a deserted enough island?
I don't know.
Why don't you guys get like what would be the plane? Get like a bigger than a G4 and get like married in the air. Like,
there you go.
Vegas.
Oh,
You
Vegas.
sent that to me.
I saw it last night. I said,
I
look at this.
No, I forgot all about it.
Well, guess what? You are viral. It's all over the internet. I saw it a bunch of places.
There's another clip from TRL of me and Kid Rock talking about a New York real estate magnate who would become president 15 years later, Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh. No way.
Really?
kidding
Oh, I was like, hey. Well, I was about to say, Carson, what's going to happen in the future?
20 years from now.
Yeah.
No, but that was crazy. That was nuts.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Do you remember that time?
I do. JLo was at TRL all the time. She had been dating Puffy, who I was good friends with at the time. And so they were always there.
Yeah.
But then she did JLo, the movie, met Ben. And then it was all of a sudden she was dating Ben, who had won an Oscar as like this young up-and-coming superstar. And
You're an
we're all
oracle.
happy for her, yeah.
You are an oracle.
And 20 years later,
That's amazing.
What's going to happen in 20 years from now?
I'll tell you after the break. And there's more for you to know today because it is Popstar Plus after all. How about this? The cast of Weird, the Al Yankovic story, just keeps getting better and better. First, we have, of course, Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al, the star of the upcoming biopic. He completely embodies the hit parody maker with the big hair and the whole thing. Then we got a little peek at Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna. Remember that? Spitting image of the Material Girl. Well, now, check this out. Roku releasing a new image. That's Abbott Elementary star Quinta Brunson as the talk show queen Oprah Winfrey herself. Fittingly, she's standing next to Radcliffe in a closet full of Hawaiian shirts. Brunson retweeted the photo writing, "Let's get weird." Can't wait to see how this whole thing turns out. Weird, the movie, slated to be released sometime this fall. All right, finally, Lizzo, the Grammy winner, left a few lucky fans feeling extra special last night. She joined Jimmy Kimmel Live with the kindest prank ever. She told fans that they were being brought in to listen to Lizzo's new album and have their reactions recorded. What the fans did not know is that Lizzo was actually right next door, ready to serenade them in person.
'Cause I gotta pee. Gotta pee. Hey. Oh, I thought this was the bathroom. Look around ya. Yes, you Mikey. Michael. Turn around.
There is nobody quite like Lizzo, as of course we all bore witness when she was on our plaza recently. Lizzo having a hot summer. All right, still coming up here on Popstar Plus, Lisa Kudrow. She's going to preview the relatives revealed and the riveting stories told in the newest season of Who Do You Think You Are?
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Who's this?
Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time. When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing? My name is Lester. Who's this?
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
top story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Popstar Plus. Lisa Kudrow, of course, beloved for playing Phoebe on Friends. But recently, her passion lies in executive producing the hit genealogy show called Who Do You Think You Are? She spoke to our third hour about the new revelations featured in this latest season.
Welcome back. This morning, we are so excited to catch up with one of our favorites, the very funny Lisa Kudrow.
For 10 seasons, you probably knew her for that Emmy-winning role as Phoebe Buffay on that little show called Friends that propped up the network for about 20 years. She also starred in the 90s cult classic, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, which it celebrated its 25th anniversary.
Well, today, Lisa is an executive producer for NBC's Who Do You Think You Are? It's a documentary series that follows different celebrity guests each week as they trace their family tree with genealogists and historians.
So good. This week's episode follows award-winning actress Allison Janney as her search takes her all the way to Bermuda.
I can't believe that I'm here in Bermuda. The fact that my grandmother died here it's it was kind of moving flying in. And also thinking about my 11th time great-grandfather, Stephen Hopkins. He came to America via Bermuda because of a shipwreck. It's kind of extraordinary.
It's the kind of show I talk back to the TV. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Good morning to you, Lisa.
Good to see you.
I was just looking at the lineup of guests: Billy Porter, Bradley Whitford, just to name a few. So you went through this process yourself in this first season, so you know kind of what they're going through. Are there any stories that stick out to you, or just talk to us in general about this project?
Well, I mean, it can be incredibly emotional, and I think the thing I love about it the most is that it's personalizing history. And, you know, when we learn history, we don't learn all of it, number one. And number two, we don't remember because it's just sort of these broad strokes. But when you personalize it through our ancestors who experienced it, then it really sinks in that we should pay attention a little more.
Absolutely.
To learn
Absolutely.
history. But it's so funny because the Allison Janney thing, the other thing I love about this show are these weird, sort of inexplicable things, these links to our ancestors. Like for Allison, she's learning about an ancestor, her 11 times great-grandfather, who, you know, was coming to the new Jamestown colony in Virginia in 1609 and got shipwrecked and ended up in Bermuda.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
But her grandmother, who's the descendant of that guy as well, she had a house in Bermuda. She had an affinity with Bermuda and died in Bermuda, which is what Allison's like. She was here. Yeah,
Gives you the chills.
The whole thing is really fascinating. I remember I got to follow my genealogy a couple years ago. It took me to like a church in Lower Manhattan where my great-great-great-grandmother got married, and I got to walk in that church, and it was just. It just makes you have feelings that you didn't even know existed. So why do you think people are so into genealogy within the last several years?
Because I think we sense that there's some connection to our past, and we're curious about it. And when you finally see what they endured and what they lived through, it kind of makes you feel like I'm not here by accident, and it's a miracle I'm here, and thank you for whatever you had to go through that
to make
allowed
this happen.
me to be here. Yeah.
We teased this earlier, so we have to ask you about this extra audition that you had to have for that little show called Friends. What's the story there?
Yeah, how about that? I didn't even realize so recently. I had a special audition for Jim Burrows because he was directing it, and I assumed all the actors did. And then I found out, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, I was
following your genealogy.
Yeah,
The only
who do
one
you
that had
think
a
you
second
are?
audition.
Just crazy work. No, I found out that I was the only one who had to audition for him.
Oh, that's so funny.
I have to admit something to you. I go to sleep listening to your voice almost every night. Is this the weirdest thing anybody's ever said on the Today Show?
So far it is.
Because my wife, it's her happy place.
Oh, yeah.
And she puts it on, and she falls asliep soundly and sleeps through the night. So it's weird. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, do you do a sleep
Just a
podcast?
mixtape, actually. It's a
I
mixtape.
was like, are you on the call now?
Yeah, I'm like, what's happening? That's so funny.
So she's not going to talk to me during the commercial.
Yeah, all right.
I do that too.
Always great having Lisa with us. We should mention Who Do You Think You Are airs Sunday nights right here on NBC. Coming up next, a star from Never Have I Ever on the show's importance, especially when it comes to representation in TV. Stay with us.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark. How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like? With our NBC News exclusive.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark. How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like? With our NBC News exclusive.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong.
Elegant and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers.
Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We're back. Lee Rodriguez plays Fabiola on the Never Have I Ever show. It's a Mindy Kaling created show. It features a quite diverse cast navigating high school. And Rodriguez spoke to us about what the show's storytelling gets right about the coming of age experience.
What do I think Never Have I Ever gets right? They get it right in the sense that being in high school, you don't always see like young girls, wanting to have all of these different experiences as far as like sex and like dating and also in high school, like you're figuring yourself out a lot. I know with Fabiola, like in season 1, she was coming to terms that, she was gay. And so I feel like that's something that's very accurate and a very big, experience that a lot of young queer teens have.
I'm gay.
What does it mean to play Fabiola? For me, it means a lot because I see a lot of myself in her. Like she's just like, she's got a lot of layers. She's got the whole awkward teen going on. She's queer, she's like a woman of color. She has like this best friend group that, she's always like ride or die, always down to like for whatever. But playing her, I feel like there was this one experience that I had. I went to this event and there was this young girl and she told me how much it meant to her, like seeing an awkward teenager in high school, and just said that like she really resonated with that. Like being tall and being awkward within itself is like a whole experience. So just playing her, I guess I never realized how many different people would see themselves in Fabiola, and so it's awesome and I love it, and I've loved playing her.
I'm gay. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you sooner. I honestly just realized.
Don't you dare apologize to me.
Really?
I love this for you. And I love this for me. Finally a gay friend. It really fits my brand as a theater wench.
For season 1, Davey has this idea that they need to get boyfriends, that they need to start dating and lose their virginity. And for Fabiola, it wasn't ideal because she didn't really know if she wanted to have a boyfriend. She tried out the whole boyfriend sitch. Was weird. Very weird for her. And then she sees this beautiful, gorgeous girl named Eve, and she starts having a crush on her. And so it makes her question her sexuality. And so season 1, she comes to term that she is gay. And that's great. We love that for her. So season 2, you'd think that things would get easier after you come out. But the reality is, like, she had way more questions than she did answers. She was trying to fit in to pop queer culture, and she just doesn't fit. And I feel like season 2, it just goes to show there's no one way to be gay. There's no wrong or right way. It's whatever you feel. And so that's what I really loved about her journey in season 2, coming to terms that she can be a robotics geek and, you know, support the LGBTQ community. And so you can do it all. But yeah, I feel like it's important because it's just real. It's real life. It's realistic. Well, I constantly got the question after Never Have I Ever came out. It's like, oh, are you really gay? Are you just pretending to be a lesbian? And I would constantly see people assuming my sexuality. And so it would always like kind of bug me, because I would be like, well, do I not look like somebody who would be queer? Like, am I not a valid queer person? And so I kind of just came to terms. And also, like, you know, playing Fabiola kind of also helped me come to terms as well that it is such a relevant thing. Like, there's no one way to be gay. And you know what? Sometimes you don't even have to come out. Like, it's all up to you. You can come out, you cannot come out. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. And so I'm so thankful to have, you know, played Fabiola. But yeah, I feel like I learned a lot, and it really helped me be able to make that post and feel confident enough to do so. And so, yeah, it's a really big moment for me. Yeah, I mean, I get DMs and comments all the time saying how Fabiola's, like, the character Fabiola inspired their coming out and inspired them to, you know, was their gay awakening. So that's pretty awesome. That always means a lot, because I do bring a lot of my own characteristics to Fabiola. And so it also allows me to feel less alone too. But yeah, season 3, a lot of great moments. Yeah, you're gonna see her come into her own. There's gonna be a lot of surprises. A lot of surprises in the 3rd season. Specifically with Fabiola, a lot of things that people did not expect. So that's all I can say. But it's gonna be awesome.
Thanks to Lee for hanging out with us, and you can catch Never Have I Ever on Netflix. Its 3rd season premieres in just a few weeks. Still coming up, a Hairspray flashback you're not gonna want to miss.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Popstar Plus. Can you believe that this week marks 15 years since the release of the movie version of Hairspray? You might remember it featured a star-studded cast: John Travolta, Christopher Walken, Queen Latifah, Zac Efron, and Michelle Pfeiffer, who spoke with us back in 2007 right here on Today about working on the movie musical.
And Michelle Pfeiffer joins us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I understand the premiere was last night here in New York. How was it?
It was fantastic. Exuberant. It was. It's by far the funnest premiere, not only New York but Los Angeles as well, of any movie that I've ever had.
Is it fun to watch it with an audience, or do you get a little nervous?
I normally get really nervous, really anxious. I realize about halfway through it that I've stopped breathing. But I was never nervous with this because it is such an audience pleaser.
It is. I told you, my daughter and I watched it together, and we were dancing. By the end of it, we were up and dancing.
Well, I wish you had seen it actually with a big audience because it's so much a part of the experience of it because people applaud and they're laughing and yelling at it's just fantastic.
But it's not just fun. We had Queen Latifah on yesterday. We were talking about this. It also has a real message that has to get out.
Yeah, without being too heavy-handed. It has this really important and powerful message that just kind of washes over you throughout the entire film.
That you can change things in life, that you need to.
And it sort of turns all of those stereotypes on its head. In terms of what is beautiful, what is socially acceptable, and it does it in such a delightful, entertaining way.
And you play not a nice lady. She's
she's pretty hateful.
She's very hateful, but she has a sense of humor. I'll give her that, actually.
I don't know that she has a sense of humor,
but you deliver a sense of humor with her.
Hopefully we will find her funny.
We actually have a scene with you with Chris Walken, and you were trying to seduce him.
Hello,
Amber. Not too successfully. Can we put that up, guys?
Husband accidentally suffocated.
You need a fella.
I do need a fella.
And the way to a man's heart is through his funny bone. Now, here's an icebreaker for you.
Do you find that people are surprised that you're funny?
Yes. I'm surprised that I'm funny, ever. I don't consider myself funny. I always feel that I'm the straight man, usually, in a movie. But, yeah. And I don't find myself funny, actually.
Even when you watch it, you don't?
No.
You're your worst critic then,
Well,
probably. Yeah, which is often the case. Are you one of those people that thinks that any day someone's going to discover that you're a fraud?
I'm an imposter.
Yeah. I go through that. What is that about? Because you're highly successful.
I don't know. Bad potty training. I don't know. Something deep and dark
that you probably don't want to find out.
And I don't want to share.
Yeah. Well, you have a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old, a daughter and a son. They've seen this movie of mom acting in this villainous way. What did they think of it?
I think they are delighted to see me. I think in the beginning they weren't sure. First of all, it's the first premiere they have ever been to of any movie that I've made. Actually, it's the first premiere they had ever been to. And it was so obvious that this was the right one to bring them to, and they're at the right age. And but when I was working on the film, and I would bring home photographs and Polaroids of this and that, their eyebrows would kind of raise, and and Claudia at one point said, "Mom, a little over the top." I said, "Yeah, it is."
But is that what you kind of like about it, playing against what people assume is your type?
I'm grateful that people think it's against my type, but I like, I guess it's nice to, surprise yourself and to surprise others and, to venture into sort of dangerous territory. I really, certainly wasn't within my comfort zone. The character or the tone of the piece, or, even though I had done Grease 2 and I had done Baker Boys, and this was sort of, for me, the first real musical.
All right, that was pretty cool stuff there. Guys, that's going to do it. You're off the hook. Popstar Plus is done for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. As always, we'll be back again tomorrow with another new episode, so be sure and join us then. See you soon.
half-hour special dedicated to one of the planet's most intimidating creatures, the shark. I'm Kerry Sanders. They've been around us for millions of years, but sharks are still so mysterious. Over the next half hour, we're diving into their habits and what makes them so fascinating. These days, it seems like we're seeing sharks more often. The number of shark attacks was up in 2021, and 40% of them happened in the waters off of Florida. But experts say there's a logical reason why. Take a look. This morning, as many Americans plan a warm winter getaway, if you're headed to the beach, take note. Shark attacks are up, according to new research. There were 73 attacks in 2021, and in the year before, just 52. That's a 40% spike.
We just look at unprovoked bites where people are minding their own business, swimming or surfing.
Gavin Naylor is the director of the Florida program for shark research. Naylor says with fewer people at beaches because of COVID lockdowns, shark attacks had dipped significantly in 2020. So the increase is actually a return to normal pre-pandemic numbers, like in 2019, when there were 64 unprovoked attacks. So as we see more people in the last 12 months or so going back out, going to the beach, there's a correlation to the encounters with sharks?
Absolutely. We believe that shark bites are really just the consequence of the number of sharks in the water at the same time as the number of people in the water.
Of those 73 attacks last year, 9 were fatal.
It felt like a slight push and like a sharp mosquito bite.
Nemanja Spasovic survived a terrifying attack off the California coast. He had been snorkeling, fishing for crabs, when a great white bit. 9 people died in shark attacks last year. You could have been one of those. It was close.
I'm super lucky. So yeah, like it is kind of a reality, and it's like a scary fact.
Nemanja says he has a scar but no limp, and he's returned to surfing and crabbing. The majority of shark bites happen off Florida, and many involve black-tip sharks, which migrate south close to shore. Still, experts say attacks are very rare. There's no reason to think that if we're in the water, they're hunting humans?
Absolutely not. No. If sharks wanted to hunt humans, it would be so easy for them. We'd have thousands of bites every week because we're such easy targets for them, like little sausages in the water.
Again, the experts say sharks are not interested in humans as food, but that doesn't mean a shark sighting isn't terrifying. NBC's Emily Akeda has a look at what happened when a monster, 1,000-pound, 12-foot great white swam through the Jersey Shore this spring.
It was the end of April, about 10:30 at night, when off the Jersey Shore, the tracker pinged. A 12-foot-long, 1,000-pound great white shark was on the move, cruising up the East Coast on the hunt for seals. But normally, the massive creatures don't swim that far north until June.
Sometimes they take a shot at it because maybe once out of every 10 years, it's warm enough up there where they can move in and eat seals starting a month early.
But when he hit the cold water, the great white thought twice and turned back south again to North Carolina. His name is Ironbound, after the island in Nova Scotia, where the research group O-Search first tagged him.
He is a determined, young, mature male trying to make his way in the white shark world, and he has the attitude to do so.
Since late 2019, Ironbound has traveled 13,000 miles from Canada down to the Florida Keys, where just like the snowbirds, great whites like to warm up in the winter. And while 12 feet may sound gargantuan, they can get a lot bigger. Check out this one, Deep Blue, caught on camera in Hawaii. Forget for a moment the fearlessness of that diver and look at the size of the shark, 20 feet long, weighing 2.5 tons. The great white population has been rebounding for the last 2 decades. Cape Cod, Massachusetts has become a hot spot. Lots of seals, lots of whites. The backdrop for that Hollywood classic. At least 47 people were attacked by sharks in the United States last year, including a California surfer and a 12-year-old girl swimming off the Maryland coast.
It felt like something ran into my legs and I ran out and I find blood everywhere.
In 2020, a great white killed a woman off the coast of Maine. But oceanographers stress that shark attacks are rare and this predator is vital.
Well, they manage the ocean system, and if the ocean system's not working, we die. And these guys are the system managers. So if they thrive, we thrive.
Where is Ironbound right now? Well, you can actually follow his movements on OSearch's tracking system. Keep in mind, great whites return to the same summer feeding spots very often, so Ironbound will likely be passing through these waters again and again. When we come back, we're hunting for shark teeth, but not from just any shark, the granddaddy of them all, the Megalodon. We'll be right back.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong.
Elegant and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers.
Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody good, and that's it.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong.
Elegant and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers.
Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Back to Shark Watch Today. Did you know sharks are constantly losing their teeth? So the next time you go looking for shells on the beach, keep an eye out because sharks' teeth are everywhere. But imagine coming across a shark's tooth that belonged to the shark the size of a school bus in Florida and other parts of the country. Well, if you look really hard and get lucky, you could walk away with a piece of shark history. It's the making of hair-raising movies. No. Apex predators lurking in the oceans, waiting for that precise moment to make a move, to attack. The Megalodon, one of the largest predators to ever roam the depths of the ocean. What was a Megalodon?
They were the tough guys of the ocean.
And although some people think they've seen one, today, this species is extinct. Zach Franaka has been searching for the past on the seabed for over 40 years.
You're holding a piece of history, and if you're willing to search and brave the waters, you can be rewarded, and this is proof.
Megalodons lived approximately 16 million years ago. They were as big as a school bus and weighed over 50 tons, nearly triple the size of today's great white sharks, surviving on early species of dolphins, whales, manatees, and seals. Are we sure that there are no more megalodons out there? This is ancient history?
Yes, the shark has been extinct for millions of years, but there are still people who would love to believe, and probably do believe, that the Megalodon exists in the depths somewhere.
On this day, Venice, Florida, the shark tooth capital of the world, is our spot for some digging. So where are we?
So we are getting ready to pass Snake Island, and we'll be making our way west out of the Venice jetties.
And the hunt is for
Megalodon teeth.
That's right, teeth. Some sharks have 7 rows of teeth that continuously push forward and fall out. It's the biggest shark that nobody's ever seen. It's called the Megalodon. extinct, but it left behind some fossils, and we're going in to find some. About 15 feet down, we spot what we set out to find.
What is that? I found the tooth to a Megalodon shark.
Just out here in the Gulf of Mexico.
Just out here in the Gulf of Mexico.
Waiting for you to find it.
It's waiting millions of years.
These waters are rich with discovery.
Gotta ask you, what do we have here? What is that? That is a sliced section of whale rib bone. Now, whether it was eaten or not, most likely was.
But
that is a fossil.
It is fossilized. It is like a rock.
That's right.
It's no surprise searching for Megalodon teeth has become a phenomenon.
Megalodon teeth tend to be almost an American icon. There's a lot of variation in them. You can always find a better one. You can always buy a better one. It's got everything you need, really, in a fossil.
Tourists flock to beaches around the country to join the hunt from the shore.
It's kind of addicting. We just scoop it out, put it in, and shake it and see what we can find.
Look at all these little teeth.
For Zach, fossil hunting is personal, a skill he learned from his father as a child. Now a passion he's passing on to his own kids.
Fossil turtle.
So your kids will be finding these when you're long gone.
My kids, their kids, those teeth will be there for generations.
It's not just a hobby. Zach has a business. In fact, he sells those teeth for up to $50,000. As for the Megalodon, the biologists and the experts sort of suggest that as water temperatures changed, their food source disappeared ultimately. Coming up, why are sharks disappearing? We're diving into the research and what can we do to help them. Later, the effects of coastal urbanization on shark populations.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody good, and that's it.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
Her name is Lester.
Who's this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire.
And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Shark Watch. As we've seen, sharks are incredible animals and the apex predator. They play vital roles in our ecosystem. Unfortunately, many species are also facing extinction. Sharks, more than 500 species in the undersea world, the top predator of the ocean's ecosystems. But this morning, troubling news. The most extensive worldwide reef study ever reveals shark populations on a steep decline. Scientists saying in many cases, sharks are functionally extinct.
Functionally extinct means that there may still be some animals out there, but they're not enough to fill their ecological role. For years, we've known that the sharks that live way out offshore have been in real trouble, but we didn't know how sharks on coral reefs were doing. And so we wanted to figure out where are those sharks in trouble, where are they doing well, and ultimately, how can we help them?
5 years ago, marine biologists at Florida International University started the Global Fin Print Study, focusing on sharks attracted to reefs, like tigers and hammerheads. If coral reefs are sort of like a smorgasbord for sharks, what did you uncover?
Well, what we found is that in about 20% of the places we went to study, we saw no sharks at all, which means they're basically extinct from an ecological perspective in those reefs.
Getting the data was a monumental undertaking. Underwater cameras placed on more than 370 coral reefs around the world. Collectively, more than 2 years of continuous, non-stop footage of what was there, and most importantly, what they found was not showing up. What's the technology to do this? I mean, it seems like it must be pretty challenging to look at reefs around the world underwater.
Yeah, so people thought we were crazy when we started this 5 years ago, but the technology for underwater cameras finally got small enough and cheap enough that we could put together a network of more than 100 scientists to work in 58 nations and collect 15,000 hours of video with bait in front of it so we could count how many sharks were in each place.
The worst cases, reefs in the Dominican Republic, the French West Indies, Kenya, Vietnam, and Qatar, where not one shark was detected.
20% of the places we go, we didn't see any sharks at all, and a bunch more places we saw far fewer sharks than we should have. I mean, that shows we have a crisis. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of video, and we see more trash bags than we see sharks, and that's really concerning because these predators are probably important to having healthy oceans.
The study's findings, a warning that scientists believe is now a challenge for mankind. What do you think is causing the decline in sharks, and what role does man have to bring them back?
Yeah, so it's all about overfishing. We're just catching too many sharks, and that's
So it's our fault?
Yeah, it's people's fault. We're catching too many because we want their fins or we want the meat.
Can fishermen use a different method that won't necessarily wipe out sharks?
Some of the methods that are being used in particular areas catch kind of anything out there. They don't target the fish that the fishers want. So just a little change in the gear they use can make a big difference for sharks.
But some good news too. The study also found sharks are abundant in countries where sharks are protected by government fishing regulations, notably off the United States, Australia, the Bahamas, French Polynesia, and the Maldives.
There are still places with healthy shark populations, and we see when governments and communities work together, they can protect their sharks and have healthy reefs. So you can have both. You can have fishing, you can have healthy reefs, and now we've developed the toolkit to help governments do that.
Researchers believe with the indisputable video evidence, governments and the fishing industry can now work to protect reefs and rebuild shark populations. For the health of the oceans, this is important because?
If you're gonna have healthy oceans, part of the mix is having healthy populations of top predators like sharks. So it's not just about sharks, it's about the whole ecosystem, but we need all those components if we're gonna have thriving ecosystems in the oceans that support what people need.
Shark populations in the world's oceans have declined by an alarming 71% since 1970. Experts say they hope that with proper regulation, we can avoid seeing extinction. As part of the effort, some researchers have looked to human medicine for inspiration, like performing sonograms on sharks. Just 3 miles off the coast of Miami, researchers bait hooks, and within 45 minutes, they've caught a shark.
We've got a nurse shark right now.
For decades, the only way to study a shark's reproduction was to sacrifice the shark and the baby pups inside.
You cut them open, you look inside, and you count. But, if the goal is to conserve threatened species and to learn more about their biology and behavior, that obviously doesn't make sense.
Because you're killing them.
Because you're killing them.
Enter a twist on human technology.
Start to see the heart cavity.
The sonogram, commonly used in OB/GYN offices, is now portable and waterproof. Killing pregnant sharks no longer required. The newly found images are stunning. You're a scientist, and I know you treat things very scientifically, but do you feel a little connection there when you're looking at that image?
It's pretty amazing when you see those little faces at you. You can't help but feel connected.
Increasingly, sharks like this sandbar shark are rare. Researchers at the University of Miami say some species have declined 90% or more in some areas over the past few decades. Despite their reputation as man-eaters, experts believe they need protection.
Shark populations help keep our oceans clean. They do a very fundamental work for us.
Sharks travel hundreds, some thousands of miles a year, so the idea of protecting them all out there, scientists say, it just won't happen. But if they can at least find out where they give birth, they can set up safe zones.
You just got to do it in some of these important critical areas, like the ones they might be aggregating to feed or to mate or to give birth or to gestate. And today we're trying to solve that puzzle and find those missing pieces.
Solving a puzzle with a window into the belly of the beast. For today, Kerry Sanders, NBC News, off the coast of Miami. It's quite incredible to see those animals so up close and personal. When we come back, the effects of coastal urbanization on sharks.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Shark Watch Today. 40% of people in the United States live along our nation's coasts. In 2021, we had the opportunity to join them as those researchers looked at the urbanization effects on sharks in the waters. Miami, with more than 2.5 million people and one of the nation's busiest ports and waterways. We don't necessarily think of sharks so close to the city, but they are.
Absolutely. I mean, where there's salt water, there's a chance of seeing a shark.
So how's Carrie doing? Are you getting ready to release her?
Yeah, she's doing good. So we're going to take a blood sample from her.
Researchers at the University of Miami Rosenstiel School are studying city sharks, how urbanization affects sharks swimming along our coastlines.
The new normal is big cities, coastlines, urbanization, and I think we're missing a lot about the ecology of animals if we kind of don't really focus on, how these animals are responding to human pressures.
What about the big city?
Sharks try to avoid people, and they certainly don't like the disturbance of human activities. Surprisingly, we've been tracking sharks, and we find that they do come in close, and they come right up to the shoreline. How are they dealing with some of the threats from coastal urbanization, like poor water quality or noise and chemical pollution?
We joined the shark research team as they tagged sharks along the coastline as part of their ongoing study.
I originally thought that we would pretty much see no shark activity here, but we're finding across the species that we've been tracking, which are bull sharks, great hammerheads, black nose, black-tip sharks, nurse sharks, they are using the city.
The scientists collect data from the sharks to study their movement, behavior, and health.
These nurse sharks stay in
this area for a very long period of time.
To our surprise is that we didn't really find any effect of the boat traffic on shark behavior. In fact, it seemed like on days with the highest boat activity, which were holidays like July 4th or during weekends, the shark's habitat use was pretty much the same as it was during weekdays or times where there was no boat activity.
So it's like an interstate and the sharks are just fine with it.
It might be because they're just so used to it. So I think the next part of it is to go to areas that are, let's say, roads less traveled, lower boat activity, and see how sharks might respond to more boat noise.
The study looking at what happens above and its effect below in the ocean. I joined Dr. Hammerschlag on a dive just off the coast of Miami.
Actually on an airplane flying over Miami at night. Everything was lit up by city lights, and it made me think about how there's really nowhere where an animal could escape urbanization.
So, sharks in the city at night, this is all lit up. Are those lights drawing sharks, scaring sharks away? Any impact?
I think that basically the lights might attract small little bait fish, which attract bigger fish, which attract sharks that are out hunting for those fish.
And the study also looks at the impact of pollution.
I mean, there's all types of stuff down here, structure for them to rest under. Lawn chairs, toaster ovens, and I mean, you name it. And when there's a hurricane, more and more stuff blows in here that just provides artificial habitat for them. The nurse sharks here are actually doing really well and seem to be better off in terms of their physical condition than the nurse sharks in more kind of further south and more pristine areas, which is also surprising to us.
Researchers are hoping soon they'll have a clearer idea of what impacts we're making living on top of their coastal habitats, sharks in the city.
The reality is most of the world's population lives near the coast. So I think it's really important to study how animals are responding and whether this type of urbanization affects the behavior and health of these animals and making sure that humans and sharks can coexist.
Perhaps the most interesting thing I learned is that researchers have hydrophones in the water that allow them to hear where the sharks are and that will allow them to help identify where the sharks continually go and, well, where swimmers might want to stay out of the water. We told you earlier, one way to find out where sharks are is checking in with O-Search. They tag sharks so that they can study their movements. Well, in 2019, a mysterious cluster of great whites off the coast of North Carolina captured the attention of scientists and the public at large. This morning, there's a mystery in the water.
We got something online. Haven't seen it yet.
4 great white sharks all hanging out off the coast of North Carolina's Outer Banks this past month.
As the water warms up down south, they'll push north. They like that 60-degree-ish water.
Researchers with O-Search tagged all 4 sharks with tracking devices last fall when they were in Nova Scotia.
Inner clasp for 48 centimeters.
Now they're back together, circling off of North Carolina, and O-Search is watching their every move.
I'm fascinated by, wow, what significant life is there?
Sea life, that is. A shark smorgasbord.
Yeah. Go Jefferson!
O-Search names each great white they tag. This group, Cabot, Jane, Jefferson, and Hal. Hal weighing in at more than 1,400 pounds.
We're gonna need a bigger needle.
As summer approaches, the great whites will be on the move.
Once that temperature really shifts, these animals will start moving, and they will move fast, and they will move with purpose to the northeast.
Tourist destinations like Cape Cod are already on alert, looking into ways to keep beachgoers safe after a man was killed by a shark in Wellfleet last summer. Another likely summer destination, the South Shore of Long Island. O-Search says great whites will soon be headed there to give birth. He says there's no need for fear, but beachgoers need to be aware.
I mean, these things are the king of the ocean. They go wherever they want.
Shark experts say the giant predator is a sign of a healthy ocean.
To have them off your coasts is a great thing. It means you're doing a good job looking after your resources.
Sharks will travel an astounding 150 miles a day as they're out there searching for food. That's our show. We hope you've enjoyed this look into the movements and mysteries of sharks. Thanks for joining us.
I love the city of Baltimore. I've been coming here for years, and if there's one thing I know, the city of Baltimore is serious about his crab.
I love Baltimore crabs.
This is the stomping ground of crabs.
And I've been eating crabs since the time I could sit up at a table.
It's a little spicy, salty, and savory all in one.
If I could describe the taste, you can't. You just have to try it. You just have to try it.
It's time to head out of Studio 1A and hit the road for a new kind of culinary adventure. Follow me as I taste some of the most iconic foods around the country and meet the families behind them. Together, we're going to learn how a good meal has the power to connect us to our past, our future, and each other. When you think Maryland, you gotta think blue crab, an essential part of the state's culture and cuisine. And no place knows how to cook it up quite like Baltimore. I mean, just as many ways as you can count, you can find ways to eat crab. Of course, there's your basic, your steamed crab with the beautiful spices, and you just start whacking that bad boy. You can get all that beautiful meat out. You can get canned crab if you'd like. Of course, there's also the fabulous crab mac and cheese with a hot dog. There's the crab dip, there's your crab soup, and of course, the king of crab, the crab cake. Yes, but this is a cake that needs no icing. Crab cakes have been enjoyed by many for centuries throughout the Chesapeake region. But here in Baltimore, they're a way of life. And one of the city's most popular go-tos is tucked away just inside the world-famous Lexington Market.
We're headed back to Houston today, and we wanted to have the best crab cake in town.
We're from Orlando, glad to be here.
People been coming to Fatalities for years.
Yes.
Ever since I was little, and I'm 25.
People from all around the world come here to Baltimore just to grab a bite of the famous Fatalities crab cake. It's made with fresh Maryland crab and family love. Everybody looks the same. How are you, my dear?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
So good to see you.
How are you, sir? You looking good?
You're looking great. Got something for you.
All right. There you go.
There you go. You need one of those.
Oh, yeah.
There you are.
Now I'm feeling really crabby. Pardon me, I've got to get a lawyer because there's a clause I have to have checked. I've known the folks at Fatalities Seafood for years, but they've been serving up fresh crab cakes even longer.
Hi, I'm Nancy Fadley Devine. I own Fadley Seafood. It's been in my family now for, 4 generations, and the 5th is coming up, so we've been around a long time.
I think people are astonished to see my parents at 84 and 89 still working.
You can get another 5 cans and do a second batch if you need to with them.
People ask her for an autograph, they ask her for a picture, they ask her to hold their babies. You know, it's really fun.
I mean, here's this company that's been part of Baltimore for over 130 years.
Right.
What is it about your place that has people coming back?
Right. I think it's that people come in here and go right away. There's a warmth. It's like walking into somebody's home they're happy to have you. You know, come and you feel, oh my gosh, I feel at home. And I get people, we were here 20 years, it's exactly the same.
In fact, Faidley still stands in its original location, founded here by John W. Faidley Sr. in 1886. Started off as a seafood stall, but over the generations grew into a Baltimore tradition, led by Bill and Nancy Devine, along with their daughter.
Damie Hahn, and I am the 4th generation of Faidleys, so I do everything. Give them a little bit of a smorgasbord of everything. Going over here to fillet a fish, over here to shuck an oyster, over there to steam a crab, back here to fry, up here to make a crab cake, back down on the phone, running in the shipping department. A tray like that is about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bushels of crabs in order to get that tray. That's a lot of picking, and I don't think people realize how much work goes into getting an all jumbo lump.
Growing up, did you think you were going to end up here? You were going to be doing this?
No, but it was hard to get away from, and I couldn't see it going away. I couldn't see it ending with my parents. So
the pandemic hit.
Yes.
You really had to step up.
My father called me and I said, Dad, you guys cannot come in here. You know, we don't know anything about this virus and the effects, especially on the elderly. And I know you want to be here, but you can't. And he said, Damie, do whatever you do, whatever you can to make payroll. It just makes me cry when I think about it. He said, just make sure that we don't have to lay anybody off. I don't want to lay anybody off. I don't want anybody to lose their job. And we did it.
And I saw it back when I came here in the 90s, and I still see it today. This truly is a family.
Oh, it is a family. And it's funny because I often tell people, Mom and Dad don't treat the employees any differently than they treat me. And that's the God's honest truth.
Which could be a good or a bad.
That's the God's honest truth. And that's why you end up having so many multi-generation families staying here.
That's right. Faidley's isn't just a family-owned business. It's run by family as well. Multiple generations of employees, father and daughter, father and son, mom and daughter, all building a home here.
I've been here since a junior in high school, so I've been doing the thing for a while.
I'm gonna say it's been around 33, 34 years.
And I started at the end of '79, a week before my son was born.
I started at 14 years old, and I'll be 42 years old in December.
It's always a challenge working with family. A lot of personalities, but you love each other and it always works, you know, it always works well.
What's really, really bad is when your kids are grandmothers.
Mom, we were in the middle of an interview. Oh, you just broke in.
You have to start over?
Yes.
You were saying about the challenges of working with family?
Just a few of them, you know? Just a few.
While the family spirit makes customers feel at home, it's Faidley's crab cakes that keep them coming back.
What kind of oil do you cook your crab cakes in?
Soybean.
Soybean, thank you.
So excited to have this crab cake. And I watch people for the first time put it in their mouth and they go, oh my God. And they're standing at a table in a market.
Yeah.
They're not sitting down to a white tablecloth and having somebody serve it on a silver platter. It's on a paper plate, but it belongs on a silver platter.
Nancy created her recipe in 1987, saying she's never changed it.
So, besides yourself, how many other people know the Faidley's crab cake recipe?
Sleep with her, she won't tell me.
He doesn't even know how to make a cup of coffee. Why would I tell him?
So some people use breadcrumbs. You use crushed up saltines.
Broken saltines, yes. And not fine, because you have to use more. So, and then this is the magic sauce.
This the secret sauce?
Yes.
So it's just enough to mix the ingredients together,
right.
Nothing more.
That's right.
And the big ball of crab right there.
That's it.
Boom.
this. Oh, boy. Oh. It was just like I remember eating it 26 years ago.
You know what? I'm told that all the time when people come in here. The best part about this is you haven't changed a thing.
Now, this is a legacy. Well, we know how the crabs end up, but how do they get them? Let's go find out. Coming up, the generations of black watermen who've made a living pulling in Maryland's most famous catch.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Hey, who's this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Hey, who's this?
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Hey, who's this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
The Chesapeake Bay men and women who work these waters are probably just as famous as the legendary catch that they pull out. And in fact, it's back-breaking work that is passed on from generation to generation, including blackjacks. Those were the black watermen who worked these waters all the way back into the 1800s and are a vital part of this community. The Chesapeake Bay is home to a vast variety of seafood, but none as valuable or as well known as the blue crab. The catch here makes up over a third of the nation's supply, and on average, more than 50 million pounds of blue crabs are harvested from the bay.
I'm Captain Tyrone Meredith, charter boat captain, owner, and operator of the Island Queen II.
Captain Meredith knows these waters well. He grew up on them.
I'm the fourth generation waterman, and my great-grandfather, he worked on the water, my grandfather, and my father. We've been here ever since the 1860s, making a living, working on the Chesapeake Bay.
This has been the way of life for generations of watermen here in Kent Narrows, a town just 50 miles south of Baltimore. For hundreds of years, they've caught, processed, and sold blue crabs to markets up and down the eastern shore. By the mid to late 1800s, Kent Narrows had also become one of many unlikely havens on the bay for free and enslaved African Americans.
There's more black watermen anywhere on the whole East Coast, probably in the United States.
Those watermen, also known as blackjacks, forged their path to liberation on the water. Their expertise essential to the booming seafood industry. So much so, the government granted some black watermen Seamen's Protection Certificates, providing sailors with American citizenship and a path to economic freedom.
Hey, Lois, I'm coming up on you now. Okay, I got you. Yeah? Howdy biting today?
morning it been pretty good.
Well, being out here is your own boss. You do what you want to do and let nobody tell you, go get me this or go get me that.
75-year-old Lewis Carter still finds that same sense of freedom on the water today. He's also one of the last generations of black watermen alive. Every morning before the sun rises, he sets out to catch crabs in the bay.
I started in 1961, I was about 15, and I've been at it ever since. Right now, I'm going down the line, and when I get to the other end, I'll throw it off. Crabs will come up on that bait. The pressure from the water pushes them back in this dipper. Okay, these are the big, large males. You put them in one basket. That's a female with red claws. Put them in one basket.
He's one of the last Mohegans left. There's not too many people that still make a living from the water. Most of them moved away, got other jobs, and it's changing because it's harder to make a living from the bay.
Crabbing season runs from spring into late fall, but changes in climate, cost, and labor have made each successive year more challenging. As younger generations take up new trades, there are less people working the waters and ultimately fewer black watermen.
Back when I started, it was a plenty black watermen, but they died out and the younger ones never taken their place. In one way, it makes me feel bad, you know, and I don't think it'll be no chance no more black watermen. I really do believe that.
Captain Meredith estimates there are fewer than a dozen black watermen on the bay. Like many of his peers, he's had to turn to other work.
Back when I was crabbing teenager, I caught high as 50 bushel a day. Right now, crab is catching 2 or 3 bushel a day. Now I started running charters, fishing charters, because crabbing started declining and the fishing was more lucrative money-wise.
And educational. His charters are an opportunity to keep stories of the blackjacks alive for generations ahead. Although tradition on these waters is changing, one thing remains the same.
Nothing tastes like the Chesapeake Bay Maryland crab. It's got that certain taste to them, and it's the only place like that in the world is the Chesapeake Bay blue crab.
Next, an up-and-coming Baltimore chef inspired by his family's love of cooking.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong, elegant, and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicki has the answers. Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it. Yeah.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCNews.com/planyourvote today.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Back in Baltimore, a new generation is putting a spin on the crab cake.
I'm Alex Perez. I'm the owner of Cuisine. I'm an artist at heart, so cooking, the arts of culinary, that's something that I'm very passionate about. Not necessarily having a recipe to go off of, and just getting in the kitchen, freestyling, and coming up with a masterpiece.
It's that freestyling approach that brings people through these doors, clamoring for a taste.
Jumbo, crab, lobster. Crab is king in Baltimore, so you're going to see crab cakes, crab cake fries, crab cake egg rolls. Everyone's been going crazy over it as well.
This is the bomb.
So I just come back to that, and I enjoy it every time I come here.
We actually live in D.C., so we rode all the way up here an hour just to come here.
Right now I'm drizzling our warhead and our aioli sauces on it. I have a family from the Dominican Republic. I'm Afro-Latino. I'm Black on my mother's side. And pretty much I've always had a love for food and cooking food, eating food. So learning how to cook from my dad. So my dad taught me how to cook at the age of 10. I grew up, watching my grandmother cook a lot as well. So I started pretty much combining the foods that I learned to cook from my grandmother with the foods I learned how to cook from my father. And that's kind of like how the whole Poppy cuisine, was born in her kitchen, essentially.
That was 8 years ago. While working a full-time job, Alex began building a new business on the side, catering food out of his grandma's kitchen. In February 2020, he was finally able to open a restaurant. Then, the pandemic hit.
Of course, a month later, we get the news that we have to shut down and only do takeout. So that just opened up the floodgates, essentially. And you had people standing in line, hundreds of people on the block in that mass, cars double parked up and down the streets. And it was mayhem.
During a global crisis, the city Alex was born and raised in rallied around him. Now, Poppy Cuisine is packed with locals and tourists alike. But the chef stays true to his roots, running it with close family and friends.
My little sister, Natasha.
Hi.
How's it going?
Natasha, my big bro, Alex.
I can employ family members, friends, and so forth, that people who I grew up with, people that I'm close to, and it's very rewarding,
Coming up, I'm going to grab my apron and join Alex and Grandma Gloria for a lesson in cooking crab.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months.
Exactly.
Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you.
I wanted to meet Alex and his grandma Gloria, the inspiration behind his cooking. So I dropped by their kitchen to say hello.
Well, I know I picked up from
my grandmother, my mother-in-law, and just put my own spin on certain dishes. I didn't follow it to the recipe to the letter.
So you're able to ad-lib a little bit.
Yeah, but he's always asked me when I fix a dish, well, what did you put in this? How did you do this? And I would tell him, I said, you don't have to follow to the letter, put your own spin.
And Alex has done just that, turning the classic crab cake into an egg roll. Genius! The ingredients, simple. A pound of jumbo lump crab, panko breadcrumbs, aged cheddar cheese, egg roll wrappers, and a couple of sauces and microgreens to top it off. There's the star of the show, the crab meat. Put on an apron. I've got rubber gloves on. All right, patient's ready. So how do we get started, Alex?
Yeah, so first what you want to do is we have some Maryland jumbo lump crab here. So for the most part, it shouldn't have much shells in, but typically I like to sift through it. Just gotta see if there's any shells, and if so, you can put the shells right back in this container.
There you go. So Gloria, did you know you were helping raise a culinary genius?
Well, no, but I know he liked to eat.
This sauce particular is our crab sauce mix. So we're gonna drizzle a little bit at a time, because I don't want to put too much, just enough to bind.
You got enough foul?
Yep, I think I'll have enough.
She's stayed by me. I like this. I like this lady.
This is why I'm so particular about, when I'm doing things in the kitchen. Gonna start actually rolling these things up. Yes.
Why do you think this recipe is so popular at the restaurant, the most popular?
Well, I think because it pretty much gives you the ability to take a Baltimore favorite and make it handheld and on the go. Throw in your hand
kind of street
eat.
Food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons it's very popular, other than the taste as well.
Right. Well, exactly.
Yeah, because that's
you can take it with you, but if it doesn't taste good,
exactly.
Come back for it.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to take like a pinch of crab. It's around like a quarter cup or so. We're gonna sit in the middle.
Not too much?
Yeah, we want to take a little bit out, a little pinch out. Actually, we want to put a little bit more in. Yeah.
Which is it?
All right, so that's perfect right there. That's perfect. And we're gonna literally fold them up envelope style.
What is it about cooking and family that is so important?
Yeah, I think for me, living a busy life as a business owner and a dad, a husband, things like that, I feel like food is an opportunity for family to come together, talk about things, especially if you haven't seen each other in a long time. And it's a way for us to connect. So,
Laura, is it true you've never done this before?
No, I haven't. It's true.
Oh. Could have fooled me that you never did this before. Look at that. Bam! Done!
Faster than I did.
Wow! Wow! It's a natural grandma thing. Love it. So now we're going to get the deep fryer up here and fry these bad boys up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Woo! If you had to describe the heart of your cuisine, what is it, and how does Baltimore kind of is part of it?
Pretty much my story, and I think that connects very well to our Baltimore, because I grew up here, all my life, and I think everything that I faced during the time that I started this company up until now, I've been transparent about, and it resonated very well with the people in Baltimore, and they watched my journey through the years, and I feel like that's really the heart of what I do.
Make sure
it's something crisp around the edges and things like that. So that's why I keep turning them, so it doesn't fry on one particular side too much. And just want to even fry.
Ooh.
Nice and golden.
So you want to cut these diagonally. So I'm going to drizzle. This is our aioli sauce, house made, and this is our warhead sauce right here. So the sauce is kind of sweet, has a tangy bite to it.
Oh, kind of like Gloria.
Yep, that's right.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to do.
Yeah, and that's the piece.
Yeah, yeah. Crab cake egg roll.
Here we go.
Wow. Chef Alf, you have done Baltimore proud.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. Our time here in Baltimore is coming to an end. We tried the traditional crab cake, tasted a modern spin with crab cake egg rolls, and even went straight to the source on the Chesapeake Bay. At the center of it all, one thing still ringing true: food tastes better when you eat it with family.
Welcome to a special episode of Shark Watch Today, where we're talking all things sharks. I'm Kerry Sanders. Today, we're looking back at some of the brave folks who go swimming with the ocean's fiercest predators, and we're diving into shark science, how these creatures are teaching us about more than ourselves, but about the world around us. From coast to coast, early shark season sightings are on the rise, putting beachgoers on high alert. And just a few weeks ago, a fisherman had a remarkably close call. NBC's Emily Akeda has his incredible story and more on some of these close calls.
Right off the coast of Sea Isle. Look at this monster.
A jaw-dropping close-up of a great white. A stunning 12-foot-long shark, witnesses say, less than a mile from the Jersey shore.
Look at him.
Joey Piazza relieved to have caught a glimpse of the apex predator from the confines of his boat.
To see it in our oceans today, the great giant of the world, it just was impressive.
But the remarkably close encounter sending chills down other beachgoers' spines.
Is there anything that would keep you out of the water?
A shark sighting.
As a spate of sightings suggests the East Coast shark season is getting an early start. In April, 1,000-pound ironbound made his way up to New Jersey. And off the coast of Massachusetts, people have spotted at least 10 sharks since Memorial Day weekend. Like this one sending a seal airborne near Nantucket. And this mako shark spotted off Long Island. Officials there already on high alert after seeing a very significant increase in sharks last summer, prompting them to use more drones to keep watch.
They are our early warning system. They could see before our lifeguard could spot a shark coming in.
The U.S. has the majority of unprovoked shark attacks worldwide, with nearly 50 recorded in 2021. This California swimmer is among the survivors. June marks a year since his harrowing dip near San Francisco.
I kind of feel just this like a sudden kind of like a push and a little sting. And as I was twitching my leg, like I could see kind of like a nose, triangular nose, like with two dark eyes, just kind of in a flash kind of pass.
Overall, the number of deaths from shark attacks is extremely small and trending down, according to experts who offer this advice to swimmers.
The real important message is the sharks are here. They're hunting, they're doing their natural activities, and we're sharing that area with them.
Most people who see a shark in the ocean would get out fast as possible. But there are folks who get into the water with sharks on purpose. I met some of them. Here's a look back at a shark tour 6 miles off the coast of Florida. It goes against common sense. Get in the water with the ocean's most feared predators, sharks. But thousands of tourists all around the world do it every year. Shark tourism attracting almost 600,000 thrill seekers worldwide, an industry worth more than $314 million. But is it safe? Today, I'm going shark diving to show you. But before you even get on the boat, do your research. Look for a reputable and certified tour company online with good reviews. And when you get there, what do I need to know? Make sure the operators do a safety briefing.
If you can swim slowly with your feet, you're looking at least more natural in the water.
So you know what to do and what not to do. As we're heading out, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, totally natural to be nervous. You have nothing to worry about.
Janelle Van Ruten's been diving with sharks for 6 years, leading tours for curious divers like me. I'm trusting you.
You can trust me. I got you.
When we get to the dive spot, our captain chums the water to attract the sharks. And I suit up. If you're going snorkeling, try on your gear before you even get in the water.
So if it holds to your face, it tilts.
Practice breathing through it so you're comfortable. And if you're going diving like me,
all right, we have your air right here, full tank.
Make sure a safety diver goes down with you as well. With sharks swarming below, that's our cue to dive in.
Should I be worried right now? Not at all. They want nothing to do with us. They may be a little bit confused, but for the most part, they know that we're not on their menu.
And that's because of what I'm wearing.
Why am I wearing gloves? The sharks eat smaller fish. In the bottom of your hand looks like a fish belly, so you wear them for protection.
Another important tip, keep your hands close to your body as you swim, so the sharks don't confuse them for lunch. But if a shark does come towards you like this one,
the best thing to do is to maintain eye contact. It's just us looking at them, they've already turned away.
this is key. Eye contact. Experts say let the shark know you're a top predator and establish dominance, which is exactly what happens when I come face to face with this shark.
Did you see that shark? Once it recognized how big I was, that I wasn't a fish, it just swam away.
Experts say sharks are not interested in humans, but when you're underwater, you're on their turf, so don't get too close.
Not a petty too, so we tell people to not touch them out of respect for the shark.
Armed with these tips, you might just be brave enough to take the plunge. One other tip the experts say, if the shark is heading directly towards you, try putting your foot up and getting the fin to direct it away from you. And if you can't, just maybe use your arm like the Heisman Trophy move and get the shark to go around you. Not easy, but definitely worth a try. Well, we're going to take a look at bull sharks now. They're some of the most aggressive sharks in the ocean, but they are not out looking for people. Let's take a look. For decades, sharks have both intrigued and terrified us, even if statistically, we're more likely to die from a coconut falling on our heads. The blockbuster movie Jaws gave the shark a bad rap.
Jaws was pretty hard on sharks in general. I think it kind of painted them as a monster.
Marine biologist John Money is the deputy director at Oklahoma Aquarium. He says in reality, sharks are not looking to attack us.
It's not an attack. Usually the bite is exploratory. They're looking for food. They're hunting fish.
And those accidental attacks are more rare than you think. They happen on average 80 times a year worldwide. More than half of them take place in the United States, and most of those in Florida. Although last week we saw 2 kids bitten by sharks off the coast of New York's Fire Island. The attacks just a few miles apart and within an hour of each other.
I could have lost a leg, but I didn't.
Of the 465 known shark species living in our oceans today, the bull shark is one of the biggest and the boldest. It's considered the third most dangerous after the tiger shark and the great white. It can grow as large as 8 feet long and weigh up to 500 pounds, and its teeth are like razors. The strength of a bite could break bones. But as long as we leave them alone, experts believe they are not interested in eating us.
We're not on the menu. They're really not a threat to us.
Or so I hope, since I'm now down here with bull sharks. And that metal suit I was wearing was made of chain, so that if a shark did try to bite me, it wouldn't be able to penetrate the suit. When we come back, more stories of brave men and women who went swimming with sharks, plus a few close calls.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong, elegant, and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicki has the answers. Every single thing you need for the best summer, yes.
Only on Today.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. a daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Shark Watch Today. Now, a lot of military men and women rely on support animals when they return home from service. Usually, it's a dog. Sometimes it's a horse. But in 2017, I visited an aquarium in Georgia that's offering up a unique program to help vets from the Wounded Warrior Project. At first glance, the beauty and serenity here would seem a world apart from the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan. But today, those worlds converge as veterans of both wars muster at the Georgia Aquarium.
You will have a mask and a snorkel.
Surprisingly, they say in their civilian lives, there's comfort in those old military routines, like threat assessments.
That's a humphead wrasse. He likes to take masks. Find your name over here.
I had a brain injury, so I kind of don't remember a lot of it.
The bond Robin Young, Sergeant First Class U.S. Army retired, shares with each of these vets is an invisible wound, post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm really freaking out, I'm telling you, oh my God.
Ever-present fear, doubt, suspicion.
Oh, don't touch me, oh my God.
It all traces back to flashes of terror.
There's sights that you can't unsee.
Bill Legg, Sergeant First Class U.S. Army retired. 2 tours Iraq, 1 Afghanistan, more than 4 years now with PTSD.
How do you define that to those who've never been in the military?
It's like a bad experience, like a bad taste of food. You never forget it.
Never forget. But swimming with the largest fish in the world, the gentle whale shark, a new memory that hopefully transcends the water.
We're about 20 minutes now into the dive here in the tank. Hearts have slowed down and minds are wandering.
What we're asking people to do here is experience the whole thing, the excitement and the anxiety, and to see if maybe that anxiety will go down and just have the excitement and fun that's left over.
For Robin's success.
It was awesome.
How does what you just did here apply to what you're fighting every day?
It showed me, even though I was terrified, that I did it.
Still, PTSD is never cured. Triggers never far away.
Whenever I would be out fishing, trying to relax, and I step on a root, and it's like, there it is. Those are just things when PTSD comes around, things you can't unfeel.
But for a moment, in a fish tank in Georgia, those painful flashbacks are all but forgotten. And that program has seen a lot of changes in the 5 years since that first story aired. A spokesman from the aquarium says they've added 2 new options, including shark cage diving and shark and ray immersion. Pretty neat. Back in the day, the only way to spot a shark at the beach was that fin. But now we have technology that can actually pinpoint a shark's location. I went underwater off the coast of Florida to learn more about where sharks travel and just how close they get to the shore.
Go, forward!
Off the coast of Cape Cod, scientists began tagging great white sharks 3 years ago.
Accelerometer is on.
Naming them too, including Mary Lee.
The shark is named Catherine.
And Catherine.
What's going on there? It's counterintuitive.
And now it's the real science emerging that has experts like Greg Skomel from OSearch excited.
And Catherine right now is off the coast. Right there. She's right there in that little orange dot.
Since Catherine began transmitting, she's traveled more than 13,000 miles. Mary Lee an astonishing 20,000 plus miles. The routes they swim look like a plate of spaghetti, and more often than anyone realized, they're very close to the East Coast shoreline, sometimes within 20 yards.
Yet scientists say they still cannot predict where a great white is going next. They do, however, have a theory as to why sharks, females in particular, are like tourists coming to these warm waters off the coast of Florida. The 80-degree temperatures are good for their pregnancies.
Today, off the coast of Jupiter, Florida,
We are looking for a great white.
we encountered 20 bull sharks, but no great whites. They're out there, as spear fisherman Grayson Shepard discovered earlier this month off the Florida Gulf Coast.
We have our monsters, we have our boogeymen, and great white is definitely one of them. That particular boogeyman has now been proven to be real.
Real and closer than any of us ever knew. Mary Lee and Catherine, the sharks' Twitter accounts, are still active and sharing updates from O-Search along with locations of some other great white sharks. Now, we know sharks rarely bite people on purpose. Experts say it's usually a case of mistaken identity. But for those who do get bitten, moving on can be a process. Let's take a look at two incredible survivor stories. It may be the scariest word in the English language. Shark! And while the movie Jaws is a big reason for that, in real life, sharks cause panic.
Get out of the water!
Get out of the water!
Steve Robles survived an attack in California less than 2 weeks ago.
I grabbed its nose and I started trying to pull it off of me.
On Tuesday, he and other residents demanded a ban on anglers at the Manhattan Beach Pier. It's believed fishing lures dangerous sharks too close to swimmers and surfers.
Reckless behavior has to be penalized.
With another attack just this past Monday, there have now been a total of 22 attacks off the U.S. coast so far this year, 14 of those in Florida.
It's extremely rare for a shark to bite a human with the intention of an attack. Usually it really is just a case of mistaken identity.
Case in point, off Sarasota, Florida, 2011.
911. We're on the boat right now. Our friend just got bit by a shark.
That friend was CJ Wickersham.
Scars on my left thigh. I got like about 600 or 800 stitches.
We first met CJ in recovery after the 8 to 10 foot long bull shark attacked. He and his friends had been out spearfishing that day.
I just bit, and then when I punched it, let go.
That's right. He punched the shark and it swam away.
Would you say this shark attacked you, to use the word attack?
I don't know if it was just curious, maybe, because it just kind of bit, and when I hit it, let go, it didn't like shake or anything or come back.
Which is especially lucky for CJ's friend Connor Bystrom, who jumped right in to the rescue.
Do you think twice about getting in the water these days?
No, I mean, we still go out and spear all the time.
And that may be the biggest surprise. CJ and his friends say they respect sharks, but they're not afraid.
So you had a shark attack you on the worst day of your life, and now, years later, you don't even have residual effects?
Nope, just a scar.
And a hell of a story.
Yep.
An update from Stephen Robles. Well, he says he's scheduled to do his first major open water channel swim since he was attacked by a shark. That's set to happen in August 11th to be exact, in Santa Barbara, California. Coming up next, we'll dive into what's causing the dramatic rise in shark attacks from coast to coast.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? You tell us what it was like? With our NBC News exclusive.
of Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Who's this?
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/plan your vote today.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Shark Watch Today. While shark attacks are on the rise worldwide, there is one place where it still happens more than anywhere else, the shark attack capital of the world, right here in Florida. Take a look. The violent circle of life on full display in Cape Cod. A great white shark turning the water there blood red. Luckily, this time the meal was a seal, not a swimmer. Shark feedings may be routine, but rarely are they captured on an amateur's camera, just feet from the shore.
It's been the recovery of their food source and protection of white sharks that have allowed their populations to come back.
A comeback that understandably makes some swimmers nervous. Just this year, there have been 60 shark attacks worldwide. 9 have been fatal, the highest number since 2013. 7 of those deadly attacks in Australia, which hasn't seen this many shark fatalities since 1934. 2 were in the U.S., one off Maine, the other off California. While shark attacks are on the rise worldwide, the most shark attacks in the United States happen right here in Florida. So far this year, those shark encounters in Florida have not been deadly, like the nurse shark that clamped down on a man's foot this weekend. It took a hammer to pry it loose. And a week earlier on Miami Beach, Mark Bowden was bitten by a 6-foot black-tip shark while he was body surfing. Mark told me he didn't realize sharks here hunt for fish so close to shore.
I was in his territory. There were a lot of fish around. It was murky. He was probably just taking a little sample to see what it was.
Biologist Chris Lowe tags sharks for research. He says his team has tagged more sharks off the coast of Southern California this year than ever before.
When you think about the fact that this population is coming back because of conservation, but at the same time, climate is changing, we don't know which of the two are giving us the scenario that we get today.
The ocean's silent predator, not always so hidden from view. And so remember, there is no reason to panic here. The reason that we're seeing more sharks is because scientists and other patrols are looking for more sharks. One person who is fearless in the face of sharks is Australian Valerie Taylor. With more than 10,000 dives in her life, she's familiar with the feeling of coming face to face with a shark.
I'd never seen anybody hand feeding a great white shark off the back of a boat. I wanted to give that nice shark, he was a boy shark, my fish.
Valerie Taylor is a pioneer. In the 1950s, swimming with sharks just wasn't done. But a young female scientist, it was just unheard of. Famed oceanographer Jean-Michel Cousteau says when everyone else was swimming away, Valerie was swimming towards danger. She and her husband, with their underwater cameras, brought the world the first close-up underwater views of great white sharks ever filmed.
They wanted dangerous marine animals, or what they thought were dangerous. They wanted drama, and if I could be in the film, fluttering around amongst all these creatures, that was even better.
You are either crazy or incredibly courageous.
I didn't take either of those things. I'm incredibly curious.
At a time when sharks were thought to be mindless killers, Taylor and her husband were taking a different approach, rescuing this great white tangled in wire and gently soothing it as it returns to the sea, a memory now tinged with sadness.
I think she was only free for another 6 months and a fisherman caught her.
Over thousands of dives, Valerie has had countless close calls. She's even been bitten 4 times, but her attitude has never changed.
If things went wrong, I get frustrated and angry, but not really scared.
Taylor even proved firsthand how a shark's bite really works.
The sharks don't have crush power.
At age 85, Taylor says she has no regrets and that she's looking forward to getting back in the ocean, the source of all life on our planet.
The marine environment that I knew when I first took up snorkeling and then diving doesn't exist anymore. It's been altered hugely by human impact.
Do you believe that it can be brought back?
Only if it's left alone, and we're not going to leave it alone.
Filmmakers at National Geographic used more than 5,000 hours of footage of Valerie Taylor's life to create the documentary Playing with Sharks. Up next, shark DNA could help find a cure for cancer. Well, we'll dive right into that when we come right back.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to our special all about sharks. We've talked about tracking them, diving with them. Now something a little different. Could sharks, those fierce, terrifying predators, could they hold the key to curing cancer? That's a question some scientists are trying to answer. They're the ocean's fiercest predator. And the reason many people won't go in the water.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
But now scientists say sharks could help save our lives.
We compared their genomes in a variety of different ways.
Dr. Mahmoud Shivji from Nova Southeastern University and Dr. Michael Stanhope of Cornell led a team of international scientists in mapping the genome of the great white shark, studying its genetic makeup. Their findings surprising even them.
It's generated some amazing discoveries that we had never anticipated.
First of all, sharks have 50% more DNA than we do.
So the question then became, so what's all this extra DNA doing?
Turns out keeping the sharks healthy. You see, our DNA is made up of cells which are constantly dividing. Sometimes mutations happen, a change that can cause disease like cancer. Our body has mechanisms to fix them, but that doesn't always happen. It turns out the shark's extra DNA helps it repair itself and keep its genes healthy.
The other sort of unexpected thing we found were genes that were tied to really fundamental mechanisms of wound healing.
The goal, applying it to human health and eventually turning it into medication.
You can take those genes and you can make proteins out of them, which opens up a whole therapeutic avenue because proteins can then be turned into medications.
But scientists warn us that sharks, which are threatened by overfishing, can help us only if there are sharks in the ocean.
There's so much more that we can get from these animals if we keep them around and study how they function with potential applications to helping humans down the road.
Scientists point out this is all at the genetic level, so eating sharks, like shark meat, it's not going to help you cure cancer. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this up-close look at sharks and the people who study them. I'm Kerry Sanders. We'll see you next time.
Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive. It was Lester.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive. It was Lester.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Who's this?
midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/plan your vote today.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong, elegant, and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers. Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester. And who's this? We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester. And who's this?
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. I appreciate
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
It's a can't-miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong, elegant, and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers. Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Let's go. This is a critical choke point for this fire. And good evening from New Orleans. Nice to really spend some time with you. Appreciate it. We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester.
Who's this?
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now. Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? You telling us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
It's a can't miss summer on Today.
They are walking strong, elegant, and pretty easy to prepare.
How to cut costs on your vacation? Vicky has the answers. Every single thing you need for the best summer yet.
Only on Today.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
These days, it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
it feels like the news never stops. So let's get into it. What's happening right now, what it all means for you for an hour every day. It can be hard to keep up, so let's get started together.
Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app. Hallie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester. Who's this?
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Top Story with Tom Llamas, weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson, streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
We'll meet Ukrainians who are defending their country one block at a time.
When you were still in Kiev, could you hear the bombing?
My name is Lester. Who's this?
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
Today is now a podcast, available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCNews.com/planyourvote today.
To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. They're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told.
No. Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
What was that noise?
I was so excited because our friends are here.
Oh, that was your today all day happiness noise?
That's exactly what it was.
Well, I'm happy. It's Friday, or Friday, as you would say, and
yes,
it's Today in 30.
It is. Welcome, welcome. This is our little half-hour wrap-up of everything from our morning show. One huge highlight, of course, the amazing Romeo Santos rocking our plaza. Epic concert this morning. It was a blast. But we are going to start this show with complete coverage of that dramatic primetime January 6th hearing. New insider witnesses, never before seen videos. Hallie Jackson joined us in the studio to tell us where it goes from here.
And then we got a Today exclusive taking you inside Amazon's drone delivery testing program. This is a first-hand look at how it could work and how soon it could start.
And then on the third hour, we caught up with actress Kerry Washington. The TV star is out with a new podcast, and you're going to want to hear all about it. All that and much more coming up right now on Today in 30.
And NBC senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson breaks it all down this morning. Hi, Hallie. Good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Hi, Craig. So committee members made the argument that this was not just a deliberate choice by former President Trump to do nothing. They say this was part of a deliberate plan to buy time for this plot to keep him in power by overturning the legitimate election results. And the committee laid out that case through the voices of Republicans. Donald Trump's own staff, his own advisors, his own family members in the finale for this set of hearings that at times got emotional, at times intense.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Overnight, the January 6th committee releasing never-before-seen footage of Donald Trump the day after, outtakes of his taped address to the nation. Lawmakers arguing what Mr. Trump refused to say says it all.
This election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
The footage shared by the January 6th committee, one of the most dramatic moments of last night's primetime hearing.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
Committee members also painting a damaging picture of what they describe as Mr. Trump's dereliction of duty during the Capitol attack, revealing he watched coverage of the violence unfold for hours from a dining room near the Oval Office.
President Trump did not fail to act during the 187 minutes between leaving the ellipse and telling the mob to go home. He chose not to act.
At the same time, over at the Capitol, agents guarding Vice President Mike Pence frantically searched for a path to safety.
So if we're going to leave, we need to do it now.
As that anonymous White House official shared, the agents feared for their lives, some of them even saying goodbye to family members. The committee also focusing on Republicans' responses the day of the hearing, including Senator Josh Hawley, showing him before the Capitol attack, raising his fist to the crowd from behind a secure barrier, and later running in the Capitol as rioters attacked. The video playing to laughter in the room. But the committee focusing primarily on Mr. Trump, also laying out how aides say the former president never made a single call to law enforcement or the military for help. One former press aide testifying then President Trump had given a green light to the violence.
He should have been telling these people to go home and to leave and to condemn the violence that we were seeing.
Mr. Trump overnight accusing that witness, Sarah Matthews, of, in his words, clearly lying during her testimony. Republican Vice Chair Liz Cheney ending the night with a powerful question for all Americans.
Can a president who is willing to make the choices Donald Trump made during the violence of January 6th ever be trusted with any position of authority in our great nation again?
In a series of about a dozen responses on his social media platform, Truth Social, the former president, among other things, called Congresswoman Cheney a, in his words, sanctimonious loser. He repeated his lies about election fraud and said the USA is, in his words, going to hell. He's clearly engaging with the hearings. He's watching to some degree with more of them. Savannah and Craig on the way come September.
Yeah, and in fact, originally, this was supposed to be the conclusion of the hearings. Yeah, but we heard some of the lawmakers say last night they've gotten more evidence as the hearings have gone on, more witnesses coming forward. So what's the plan now?
Yeah, specifically that the dam has begun to break, right? That's how Liz Cheney framed it, the vice chair of this committee. So we don't know what we're going to see. That's kind of an open question because the committee was really deliberate in the way that they crafted this sort of narrative arc over the course of these 8 hearings, 7 plus the surprise. We're not sure what that's going to look like in September. We do know that they're getting more witnesses. They're issuing more subpoenas. They've got a lot more information coming in. And so they've ended other hearings with cliffhangers. This is a big cliffhanger, too.
All right. Hallie, thank you. Appreciate it.
This morning, a look at the future of shopping and getting your packages delivered faster than ever, and that's saying a lot.
Hey, check this out. Amazon says it will not be long before it will be able to deliver items within minutes of your order using autonomous flying drones.
NBC's Erin McLaughlin got the look. She's got exclusive access to Amazon's drone testing facility. Hi, Erin.
Good morning, guys. Amazon has never allowed cameras into this testing facility until now. They showed us how their fleet of high-tech drones will be able to fly packages straight to you and drop them in your yard. The questions are these delivery drones safe, and how soon will they be a reality?
Inside this top-secret facility in rural Oregon, Amazon is testing the future. One it says will revolutionize how your packages get delivered.
How big of a deal is this for Amazon?
It's a really big deal.
This is Prime Air, a small fleet of autonomous drones that Amazon says will soon deliver items right into your yard, less than an hour after you order them.
This is essentially a mock-up of what a normal backyard might look like.
John Cassidy is Amazon's director of drone safety. He says customers will get a GPS marker to put into their yards. That tells the drone exactly where to drop the package from a height of 4 feet.
How do you know if a customer has a suitable yard for delivery?
We're actually going to go out and physically survey the yard. We're going to make sure that there's a location where we can deliver our packages that is suitably set back from structures, from fence lines.
He says drone deliveries are scheduled to launch later this year in 2 towns, College Station, Texas, and Lockford, California, where hundreds of Amazon customers have signed up and will get it free with Prime membership. Amazon says these electronic storks can deliver 4,500 products, all under 5 pounds, using special packaging that cushions the items when dropped. The company says each drone has sensors that detect any obstacles, from other aircraft to objects and people on the ground.
If it senses an obstacle in its path, it is not going to deliver.
Human engineers also monitor the flights and can take control in an emergency. But in April, Bloomberg reported some Amazon employees were concerned the company was putting development speed before safety, an allegation Cassidy denies.
Our mantra here is we will always do the safest thing possible, even when the regulator is not looking over our shoulders.
Amazon's already spent more than $2 billion on these drones. Back in 2013, CEO Jeff Bezos told 60 Minutes they'd be operational before the end of the decade.
Could it be, 4 or 5 years? I think so.
But since then, the program has been plagued with delays.
It was worth the time to spend to get this thing right.
When can the average Amazon customer expect to order something via a drone?
Certainly within the 3 to 5 year window.
The race to deliver products faster than ever, now soaring to new heights.
Ooh. So, Aaron, these things look pretty big. How are they going to coordinate all the drones in the air and avoid crashing into one another?
Well, with companies like Walmart and UPS also developing this technology, Amazon says some kind of control system will be needed for safety, and that will require companies and the government to work together to create new flight standards and regulations. Another big hurdle to this becoming a reality. Guys.
All right, Aaron, thank you. So much to think about.
Air traffic control for delivery drones.
Well, do you want to look up in the air and see like UPS, Amazon, drones flying around? Do you want to hear that noise?
The pollution is one concern. I just, as a society, though, are we at a point where I can already get my toilet paper the next day?
Yeah.
Do I need it like the next hour?
Do you need it dropped on your head?
I don't know. But I'm sure people will sign up.
So maybe these aren't the drones we're looking for.
Maybe not. Maybe, but here's the thing. I'm talking about it now. I guarantee you when it becomes available.
Oh, yeah.
It depends how low you are on TP. And
yeah, exactly.
You go.
But I wouldn't have a TV delivered that way.
No. SG, feels like a good time for a Friday boost.
I know. I get boost duty this morning. A nursing school student in Michigan will never forget the surprise gift he got for his recent graduation. Carlos was posing for a picture when the brother he had not seen in 8 years snuck up behind him, flashed the peace sign. Get this, Carlos did not even realize it until he took a better look at the photo.
Yeah. Do you like it?
There he is. His brother lives in Chile. Carlos and the rest of the family live here in the U.S. There were immigration issues and then the pandemic that kept them apart. So Carlos, his sister, and parents arranged this reunion. And you gotta believe it was the perfect graduation present.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now, streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now. For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
We're back with today's money and some news you can really use on this Friday morning with no relief from the brutal heat in sight. We're going to bring you a few ways that you can save while also staying cool.
Yeah, that's right. It's more important than ever. Electricity prices are expected to be at least 100% higher in some locations than just last summer, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration.
All right, well, NBC senior consumer investigative correspondent Vicki Wynn is here. She's got tips. These temps keep rising. Vicki, there's no relief in sight, and the bill can get real expensive if you happen to have AC. What are some tips to save?
Good morning. I know it's really tempting when the temperatures go up. We want to turn our thermostats down, but every degree is $1. Think of it that way. So if you can just raise your thermostat a little bit, Consumer Report says every degree you raise it, you save 3% on your bill. A smart thermostat could help. 7-8 hours when you're at work. Bump that temperature up. You'll save a lot. You'll see it in your bill.
I just want to say, Craig, we're saving so much money in this studio. He thinks it's too hot in here.
I love it.
He wants to crank it down. Me and Hoda have this fight with Craig every single day. We're saving money.
Yes.
I put sunscreen on when I walk in.
Comcast thanks you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay, ceiling fans, a good solution. How do you make the best use of them?
Did you know ceiling fans have a summer mode and a winter mode?
I didn't.
Okay, there you go. So there's an easy way to figure it out. You can look up at the blades. They should generally be going counterclockwise for the summer.
Okay.
Or even easier, you stand underneath the fan. Do you feel the cold air coming down? That means you're in summer mode. If you don't, that means it's bringing warm air up. So just look for the little switch on your ceiling fan. That can bring down your energy bill by 14%.
Well, and most ceiling fans have that switch? Who
Yep,
knew?
they all do.
Okay, all right. Helpful reminder, change your AC filter. Why does this affect it?
So you would think once a year would be a good rule of thumb. Actually, and especially if you live in a really hot climate like Arizona, you want to change your AC filter every 3 months. That will make it that much more efficient.
Okay, great. Head on over to Craig.
You didn't do that in Arizona? Change your filter every 3 months?
Yeah, no, I did. I never failed to.
Yes.
Always changing my
By the book.
Speaking of air conditioning, folks heading out on the road this weekend, perhaps, how can we save money but still use the AC? Because for a lot of folks, you can't just run around with the window down.
It's
hot.
true. And a lot of these newfangled fancy cars, like maybe one that you have, Craig, they have that remote start feature, so you can start the air conditioning, which people like to do.
I don't have a remote start, but
okay, well then it's not a good thing to use, so that's good for you because it's not that efficient. Really, you want to get the car going before you turn on the air conditioning to get the airflow. That's really going to cool you down, so don't waste your gas doing the remote start.
A lot of folks think that also keeping the car sealed up is good for the AC. You say that's not the case?
Only in that first 30 seconds to 1 minute when you start up your car, you've got all that hot air. You need to put the windows down to let the heat escape, pump the AC, then put the windows up. That is like the winning
That's how we do in Arizona.
Is that how you do it?
You roll down the window, crank the air, start driving, get the air in, it gets that hot air out.
You got this.
And then turn the AC on.
I thought it was a dry heat, though. I do have one of those autos like start-stop things in my car.
Okay, yeah.
When you come up to a stoplight. Are those good or bad for fuel efficiency?
So they're great for fuel efficiency, and a lot of cars have them these days. But what it does is it also turns off your air conditioning, your cooling unit every time it starts and stops. So if you are in a hot climate where you're going in start and stop traffic, you may want to turn that feature off. Actually, Consumer Reports even recommends that you do. I've actually never tried that, so I'm curious for folks if it works. Do they feel like it's better for their car? It will use more gas because your car will constantly be running.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You don't like the feature, huh?
I hate the feature.
Oh, okay.
Every time you stop, I have a mini heart attack, hoping my engine's going to turn back over in traffic.
I didn't even know you could turn it off.
Oh,
yeah. You can.
It's a good gas saver, but it's not for the anxious.
So
So all that well and good, but if you lose power, you're in real trouble. Temperature's rising, you've got no power. How can you stay cool?
This is very serious. So if you think it's going to be a prolonged power outage, you want to get yourself and your family somewhere safe. A public cooling center, the library, maybe a shopping center. If it's not going to be that serious, then make sure you close your blinds. It's so simple, Carson, but in the summer, through the glass, you're getting 85% of the sun's solar energy. If you just put the blinds down or close the curtains, that goes down to 5%. So it makes a real difference in keeping your house cool.
So if you're in your house and it's dark, what else can you do to stay cool?
Okay, so number one, hydration. And people are always like, how much water should I be drinking? Mayo Clinic says 8 glasses is a good start, 64 ounces, but men need more water than women. And if you're more active, you sweat more, then you'll also need to adjust your water intake. The other thing, take a cool shower. It doesn't have to be an ice bath, but just a cool shower in the dark keeps everybody cool.
But Vic, you got to eat. And everybody knows you don't want to go into a hot kitchen and start cooking. So what do you do then?
What do they say, Carson? If you can't stand the heat?
Get out the kitchen.
Exactly. And that's what people should be doing right now. You don't want to be turning on the oven. You don't want to be turning on the stove. Use that grill. And also, you guys have that cool pizza oven?
Yeah.
Great time to be cooking outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not bringing the air, it's not making it hot in your house.
You can drink more cold beer, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
cold
exactly.
food. Vicky, thank you for that.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. Hallie Jackson Now. Weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now. Streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Now Tonight with Joshua Johnson. Streaming weeknights at 8 on NBC News Now.
Live from Ukraine, from Uvalde, Texas, from Mayfield, Kentucky. To cover the news, you have to be in it. This is how so many towns and cities are protecting themselves. You can actually see they're pushing the gates open. Was there a school officer on campus? That's what we've been told. No. Do you remember any tornado as bad as this one? You look at this and you're thinking, we're not going to have power for weeks, if not months. Exactly. Every night, it's your news playlist.
Top Story with Tom Llamas. Weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
The day's biggest political stories with trusted insight now and expert analysis now. A daily look at the politics behind the headlines. Meet the Press Now. Streaming weekdays at 4 p.m. on NBC News Now.
Well, our next guest is a true Hollywood star, the one and only Kerry Washington. You know her from some of the biggest roles, like playing Ray Charles's wife in the blockbuster film Ray. And of course, no one can forget Olivia Pope in Scandal.
So check this out. Now Kerry's trying something new with Audible's scripted podcast, The Prophecy. It is a supernatural thriller with a biblical twist.
So when a series of unexplainable events happen around the world, Kerry's character, Dr. Virginia Edwards, finds herself at the forefront and believes they may actually be signs.
And to add to the mystery, the pregnant Dr. Edwards believes she's the Virgin Mary. Here to tell us all about it, Kerry Washington herself. Kerry, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I mean, so this project, it's being categorized as a supernatural thriller. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, the premise of this series is really, what if the Bible wasn't a collection of stories of things that happened in the past, but what if it was a prophetic book about things that were going to happen in the future, and what if that future was right now? So it's really kind of imagining that the mystical, exciting, adventurous, unexplainable things that are unfolding in our lives, what if that was because we are truly now living in biblical times?
Kerry,
it's crazy.
It is crazy. You know what else is crazy? Ridiculous. The all-star cast that you guys have, including, I think, Lawrence Fishburne, Daniel Day Kim, David Oyelowo, Asa Butterfield. What was that?
Wait, I have
Go ahead.
something amazing. I have to tell you, you know who else is in it?
Who?
Your next guest is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Pippa.
No way.
Her husband, Stephen Pasquale, is also in our cast.
Oh, wow.
I was just watching them on YouTube. They do the best Instagram videos together. So did you guys all sit together, Kerry, and record at the same time, or you record separate from one another?
No, it was the most COVID-safe production I've been a part of since the start of the pandemic. We were all alone in different cities, often recording. But it was so inspiring because, you know, these actors, folks like Stephen and Lawrence Fishburne and David Oyelowo, they have such iconic voices.
Yeah.
So I just kind of hear and listen, and it was acting in its most raw, purest sense in a way. There's no hair and makeup and glam to hide behind. It's just like me in a sound booth having a lot of feelings about an intense moment. So it was a challenge, and it was fun, and I'm really proud of what we were able to put together, and I'm super grateful to all these actors for saying yes to me when I came to them with this incredible idea.
So Kerry, I'm wondering how that butts up against you actually now being in The Simpsons as Bart Simpson's new teacher. Was it the same kind of COVID safe thing? I mean, was it the heart of acting for you?
Yes. Although I have to say the big thing about The Simpsons was I hadn't been to Universal Studios in a really long time. And so my kids were like, there's no way that you can be on The Simpsons and not have done The Simpsons ride. So making The Simpsons show was super COVID safe, but going to the park was a little different. But it's also really safe. We wore our masks. We had a great time, but lots more people at the park than in my office supporting.
I'm just mesmerized watching you, so it's unfortunate almost that you're not on camera for some of these roles. But I want to switch gears and talk about your amazing TikTok following. You have amassed more than 4 million followers. What do you think it is about you and the TikTok audience that's connecting?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think TikTok lets me have my silly side a little bit more. So I get to be a little bit crazy. Also, my dad is on TikTok with me a lot, and he's always an instant hit with the fans.
Yes.
But yeah, I think TikTok's a place where I get to just be a little sillier. And in these times, I think we can all use a little bit more silly as we're out there doing the serious work that we're doing as well.
That. Before we let you go, you recently hosted Jimmy Kimmel Live. During the monologue, you did something that was pretty amazing, I thought. You helped a couple of fellow actors get health insurance. Why was that something that was so important to you, Carrie?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we don't have just a more universal health care in this country. So I remember how important it was for me when I made enough money as an actor to have health insurance. We found a bunch of actors who were just one line away from being able to qualify for insurance, and we gave them a line on the show. It just meant so much to me to be able to do that because, again, now I get to be in a place in my career where I can call fancy friends like Lawrence Fishburne and JLo and Daniel Day Kim and say, like, let's go do this thing together. And I have so much creative freedom in my life because my union takes care of some of the things that are scarier in life. And so I wanted to be able to help our union provide those services to more people.
We love that you're using your power for good, Kerry Washington. Always good to see you. Come back soon, please. It's called.
Thank you. I hope you love the podcast. Check it out.
We will.
Kerry.
It's called The Prophecy, folks. The Prophecy, available exclusively on Audible on July 28th.
So exciting.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Today is now a podcast available every morning. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Today. We got a lot to celebrate on this Wednesday morning. It's good to have you along with us.
You don't know when your moment's coming, but when it does, you take it.
Everybody's good, and that's it.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that has become yet another landmark.
How long do you think it took for all this damage to occur? Can you tell us what it was like?
With our NBC News exclusive. It was Lester.
The midterms are here. It's time to plan your vote. We'll provide everything you need to know to successfully cast your ballot. Just select any state you want to learn about for the primary or general election, and you'll instantly get voting rules, see the next big deadline, and learn how to take action for your plan. Voting rules have changed since 2020, and those rules vary from state to state. So it's time to get planning for 2022. Visit NBCnews.com/planyourvote today.
All right, in case you haven't heard, July is National Ice Cream Month, which makes total sense since it happens to be also one of the hottest months of the year.
Okay, so what better place to cool down than an ice cream shop? And we didn't have to travel far. There's a Ben & Jerry's right here at Rockefeller Center. So Huda and I call her Scoops, swung by to test out our scooping skills.
All right, you know what, Jenna? It's a hot summer day.
Sure is.
We're sweltering.
You know what we need?
What?
Ice cream. My favorite is cookies and cream. You can't go wrong with a little Oreo and cream combined.
Graham cracker ice cream. It's sick. Okay, I think we need to go in.
Let's do it.
Hi. Hey, ladies, welcome.
Hi.
Are you Xavier?
Xavier, yes.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jenna.
I'm Hoda. Xavier, we're thrilled to be here.
Let's get started.
Okay.
First up, learning how to make a waffle cone.
Okay, so Xavier, will you walk us through?
Yep. So you just.
All right, so you take some of that.
Yep. And you just shut it down.
That's
the
it?
black part. Yep. And you just click it. and then it's gonna go for a minute. 18.
Wait, sizzle. Have you ever met Ben or Jerry?
I met Jerry. He actually came to the store.
He did?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, do you smell that?
Then when the beach is...
Now what?
Yeah,
Lift
black-
it?
Lift it.
Yep.
Scared.
No, you good.
Oh, and now how do you roll
And then
that?
you just-
Put that here.
And twist it?
Twist it, yeah. Just
Oh
like that.
my gosh. We made a
And now,
cone.
and now you
And
put
then
it in the
just
little.
paste it in there, let it cool off for a little bit.
Is that a good enough? Is that an okay cone?
It's for starters.
It'll
yeah,
do.
It'll do.
All right. Next, Victoria helped us master the art of the scoop.
Each scoop is 3 ounces. So that's from here to here. But
so
you
it's
take
one
it,
line.
just roll. It rolls itself.
Oh, you go like
That's a
that.
perfect roll.
Really? No. Sad. I don't think that you would, Victoria.
You don't squish it that much.
Don't push it. Okay.
I'm going to start calling you Hoda Scoops Copy.
Scoops.
Finally, it was time to open the doors and serve it up.
Welcome. Can we help you? What would you like?
Either butter pecan or vanilla.
Okay, vanilla's on this side. Here. Would you like a cone or a cup?
A cup, please.
She'd like a cup, please.
And what would you like?
The chocolate chip cookie
Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Oh, chocolate. Okay, here we go. Thank you.
Okay, wait, and they need a spoon.
You're just going to leave the ice cream on you melting?
Thank you.
Happy National Ice Cream Month.
Can we help you?
How are you? Can I please get the strawberry marshmallow?
Strawberry marshmallow. Over here.
Where?
I'm giving you a big
Do you want a big or a little?
Scoops likes little.
She wants little.
Chocolate chip cookie dough?
Yes, please. Yep.
Hold on.
I mean, look at that scoop.
That's as perfect as it can be. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
We're open. Hey, lady. Where are you from?
Texas.
I knew it. Let's see whose is better. Ready? Have a bite.
Delicious.
Mine's better. Oh! Wait,
Okay,
what do you
we
want?
get you?
Can I just get strawberry?
What would you like?
I'll have chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay.
Wait. I want to show you what a perfect scoop looks like. Here, try to look at it.
No scoop.
I'm trying to. Oh, wait. You guys, thank you for coming. Is this so fun?
So awesome to see you guys.
You saw our scooping techniques. We didn't make you one penny. We feel bad. But how did we do?
Did good.
We did?
Yes.
What
For
do we
first
need to
timers, yeah.
Thank you guys. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Oh my God, it's so good. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was worthy.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hope you join us Monday. We're going to kick off another big week on today. It's going to be good. We'll see you then.
Have a fantastic weekend, y'all.